Definitely, definitely.
Hello, this mom. You will. You got a cookie? Yes, we did to get our picture. Absolutely. I think we'll be good. And I get to watch in the background. I like it.
Good afternoon. We're going to give everybody about 2 more minutes to settle in. There are some cookies and some refreshments in the back, but welcome, and we'll welcome you back in about a couple of minutes just to get everybody settled in. great to have everybody sort of follow rules. So again, on behalf of Hacienda La Puente Unified School District and our Board of Education, my name is Cindy Perulin-Colfer. I'm the superintendent here, and I would like to welcome you to the town hall meeting for AB 86. Here at the table are the ones that are actually going to do this presentation, and as many of you know in the audience, I have a special place in my heart for adult education, and I'm very excited to see, as we've gone to some meetings as well, for that regional consortium to occur so that the students are served throughout our state of California. At this time, I would like to introduce two people that are going to go ahead and continue to introduce the others that are important in terms of this work that's going to happen with regard to this collaboration, this partnership to ensure services are continued to be provided to all of the people here in California. First, we have Deborah Jones, who is the Dean of Career Education Practices, Workforce and Economic Development Division, California Community Colleges Chancellor's Office. And her partner in crime, no, not crime, but partner in this whole process, positive process, is Carmen Martinez Calderon, Education Programs Consultant, Coordinates Student Support and Adult Education Division, California Department of Education. And at this time, I would like to ask them to go ahead and introduce all of the players with regard to AB 86 throughout the state. Thank you and welcome again.
Thank you and welcome. Cindy said that there were some important people here, and actually you are the most important people that are here today because it's a time for us to hear from you. Before that happens, I want to introduce our cabinet. We have a work group and a cabinet. We have 6 members on our cabinet and 4 are present today. Andrew Loffer is in the back. Raise your hand, from California Department of Education. Von Tonquinlevin standing next to him from the Chancellor's Office. Alejandro Espinosa, you're here from Department of Education. And Gordon Jackson from the Department of Education. Not with us are Barry Russell and Vince Stewart from the Chancellor's Office. And now I'd like to introduce Carmen to introduce the work group. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Such a pleasure to be here and such a great turnout. For those of you that do not know me or are not familiar with my face yet, again, Carmen Martinez Calderon from CDE. I am an education programs consultant, and it'll be a year coming up in November that I have had such a pleasure of working with the adult ed community. So that said, I am now part of this work group for AB 86. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay, great. And I will be introducing my colleagues. So here at the table we have Candace Lee from LAUSD, and we have Greg Schultz from the Provost of School of Continuing Education from North Orange County. And we also have Andrea Rodriguez, and we have Donna Burns. I saw Donna walk, there she is. So we also have Anthony Beebe, who's not here today, Joanne Durkee, Bob Harper, Deborah's here, and Erica Leanne, or LeBlanc, I'm sorry, Sally Lund, and Shadidi Siamat from CDE as well. So with that said, I think we're going to get started. We have a pretty full agenda, so I'm going to hand it over to Greg.
Thank you, Carmen. Very good. For this brief part of our program, what we wanted to do is provide an overview of Assembly Bill 86 and the planning efforts that have begun. So first of all, Assembly Bill 86 identified $25 million in statewide investment focused on a 2-year planning activity. And the specific legislation is Assembly Bill 86, Section 76, Article 3. Specifically, the California Community Colleges Chancellor and the Superintendent from the California Department of Education will jointly provide 2-year planning and implementation grants focused on developing regional consortia to deliver and meet the adult education needs throughout the state of California. So we'll look at these one at a time here. So first of all, some key facts. A consortia then in the bill is defined as, at a minimum, a school district and a community college district. A consortium may also include additional school districts or additional community college districts as part of the consortia, and Also other adult education providers. That might include community-based organizations and others. In terms of the fiscal agent, that's up to the regional consortia. So that might be a school district or a community college district. It could be either. And this opportunity is designed to be a non-competitive grant to maximize participation throughout all regions of the state. Okay. I'm just going to put all these up at once here. So then the specific focus areas of adult education for this planning effort include elementary and basic skills, classes for immigrants, programs for adults with disabilities, short-term CTE programs, and programs for apprentices. And at this point, I'll turn over the presentation to Candace.
I think this part is very important, the components of the regional consortia plan. And what I want to inform you is that once you get your planning grant, these are the 7 areas that you will be needing to concentrate on. The evaluation of existing adult ed programs, the evaluation of the needs. I think that's very important within the state that all areas are covered. Plans of how the community college and the school districts will be integrating their programs, how to address the gaps within the state or within your area specifically, plans to accelerate a student's progress, plans to collaborate on professional development, which is very different, you know, in terms of community college and school districts, and plans to leverage the existing regional structures. So looking forward, our tasks are quite, there's a, yes? We can provide those slides, and they would be on the AB86 website. Okay, no problem. Looking forward, our task as a working group is that we will have to develop a report to be presented by the CDE and the Chancellor's Office by March of 2014 to the legislature. And that is the status of the regional consortia and how things are developing. And then by March of 2015, the status of the plans for what you will be doing in your consortia. The intent of the legislature is to work towards developing common policies on fees and funding structures as stated in the legislation, and providing additional funding for 15-16. And I think that's what we all have our fingers crossed, and we all want to see wonderful consortia plans from every single person in this room. Next.
So now we've come to the most important part of our afternoon. The rest of the afternoon will be divided into 2 parts. In the first part, you will be answering questions that we have provided. They were on our website and we've provided them. You should have them on your agenda. We'll spend about 45 minutes doing this, and then the last 45 minutes, you will have an opportunity to give us information, perspective, ideas, thoughts, questions. But we're going to begin with the questions to consider. And the first question is, how do you envision the makeup of your consortium? And what we're asking people to do is to please line up behind the 3 existing microphones. And you'll have an opportunity to answer these questions. If you do not want to answer your questions publicly, but you have ideas, please write them down and submit them, and we will be reviewing them and considering them. So our first question is, how do you envision the makeup of your consortium? What does that mean to you to have to collaborate? What does it look like on the ground? So folks, this is your opportunity to talk to us a little bit about your partnerships, maybe some of the issues that you'll be dealing with in making partners. Do you plan to include CBOs, libraries, jail educators, the other adult education providers. Good, and maybe you can state your name and where you're from, if you would, please.
Jim Kennedy, I'm from Santa Ana College, and I envision our partnership will include the Rancho Santiago Community College District boundaries, which will include Santa Ana Unified School District, Orange Unified School District, Santiago Canyon College, and Santa Ana College. And it will look to expand the partnerships that we already have. We already work together closely with bridge programs and other activities to improve college preparedness. And so we're going to expand on those opportunities and just see how we can look at our existing programs and improve the programs for the service in the boundaries of what would be the Orange Unified School District, Santa Ana Unified School District, and the Rancho Santiago Community College District.
Great, thank you. I want to remind you that this is being taped and it will be posted.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Forte Parnell. I'm from the Antelope Valley Community College located in Lancaster, California. And we will be working with the Antelope Valley Union High School District. And the situation we have in the North Valley is that there is a huge service area that is very difficult to provide services to, get to. So we're looking at ways we can include CBOs, even churches, libraries, and areas, and also as far as the adults with disabilities, to include the skilled nursing facilities and areas where students just can't get to us. So it's going to be a huge undertaking for our area, but it's something that we know is doable, and we anticipate working and pulling a lot of people together. One of the questions that we do have is how you're defining apprenticeship, capital A, small a, just what we need to look at in terms of pulling those participants together. But our goal is to pull as many players together, and we have our first meeting planned for November 15th to pull all the people together.
Great, thank you. It's too tall. I think I will come out. I should have worn heels. I'm Veronica Montes, and I'm principal at Culver City Adult School. And we actually had our first meeting with the president of West LA College. What we hope to use, or who we hope to make up at least the beginning of the consortium, is West LA and Santa Monica. The challenge, I think, in Santa Monica Adult School as well as Santa Monica Community College. But one of the things is when you're talking about two different college systems, because West LA is still part of the LA Community College District. It was a great meeting, a great initial discussion, but not really sure how much we'll be able to, and they're really our backyard, but how much we'll be able to partner in terms of policy when it's connected to such a large district, and hoping to be partners with some of my LA friends because we're still close. And then looking at like the libraries and some of the other partners, but really starting with the community colleges and the school district as the main partners. Good. And you know, the size of your area is so large that we understand, or we don't understand, the complexities, and we need to understand. And so that's why today is so important that you give us this information. Ernest.
Ernest Kettenring, Director of Adult Education for United Teachers Los Angeles. I will be speaking to a couple of things today because we're very concerned that the process has already been set up to completely exclude the voice and participation of teachers from this entire process. Speaking to the question before us right now, it is now the policy of the California Federation of Teachers, United Teachers Los Angeles, and we are in the process of formulating formal policy with the California Teachers Association. We are all opposed to the use of any of these funds by community-based organizations. Been there, done that, saw during amnesty that shell organizations were created, the most notorious being Hermandad de Chianal, which by the time the state figured out what was going on, we had a guy on a plane to Argentina with a suitcase full of money, our money. We don't want that to happen again. We have institutions, we have colleges, we have K-12 school districts, we have credentialed teachers. We do not need to be making the very limited funds that are available for adult education available to be fleeced by shell organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Pauline.
Yes. Good afternoon, Deborah. Good afternoon. This is Pauline Grove from ABC, Adult School, ABC Unified School District. We have been working very, very closely with Cerritos College and also many other adult schools in our region, including Downey Adult School, Norwalk La Mirada Adult School, Compton Adult School, Bellflower Adult School, and we also have other adult schools from other areas like El Monte and Hacienda La Puente and many community organizations as well. We are very excited this opportunity, and we look forward to see how we are able to address the gaps and the needs for our region. However, we also consider about the boundary. Because I look at the Q&A section, say the boundary needs to be set by the community college boundary, or that's still to be determined. So that's our question as well. And we do have a lot of overlappings with our services and the programs. So how we are able to address the needs and also meeting all the each individual adult educations and the community educations to provide the best services with this new direction. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Ketza, Azusa Adult School. We held our first regional meeting last week. And we had in attendance Monrovia, Azusa, Glendora. We did have libraries present and a representative from Citrus College, which would be our community college. We just got our feet wet with figuring out the AB 86, make sure everybody was aware what that meant. And we're looking forward to having a inclusive partnership that can work to solve the needs of our fairly small regional, mini region, by comparison to some of the other areas. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead into the second question, seeing for this number one. Okay, great.
Lynette Nyaga. I actually teach at Rio Hondo College, which is just up the road here. And I'm also president of the Community College Association, which is the CTA Community College wing. So CTA is the California Teachers Association, in case you didn't know. I'm also going to express my concern about the lack of teachers on any of the bodies. I went carefully through all of the bodies, the stakeholders, the work groups, everybody. It's all administrators and people from Sacramento. So remember that we are the ones who work with students on the ground. We know the students best, so our voice should probably be heard in this. And I'm recommending that you redesign your groups to include faculty and counselors from community colleges, instructional faculty and counselors, because counselors are the ones who guide the students as they go through adult ed and then hopefully into a community college program to that wonderful student success of transfer certificate or degree. So that's my first issue. My second issue is I'm wondering, I'm listening to people here, and I think that the last speaker from Cerritos, the Cerritos area from ABC, raised a very interesting question. She's talking about people from El Monte. Well, El Monte is in the Rio Hondo attendance area, okay? So we need to be very clear, are we going to limit it to the community college area where, you know, we would expect Rio Hondo to work with El Monte? Are we going to say, if Rio Hondo signs off and says, that's okay, Cerritos, you can, you know, be in charge of the El Monte groups? I don't know. And I think that's something that, you know, we really need to address before we get much farther. And I also would like to say that a lot of us are just here today to find out about things. We haven't, you know, this has kind of like whoosh. It's a train that's going, it's going at top speed, and we aren't up with it yet. You know, we're running. We're way behind. So, you know, town hall sounds informational. And when you said get up and talk about your programs, I'm thinking, who has programs? A few people have them, clearly, but not the whole room. How many people in this room, I'm wondering, have a program that where they've actually met? How many people have actually met? Okay, that's helpful. So I'm just hoping that you'll give us a little time to collect ourselves as we go forward.
So I just want to remind everyone this is the plan to plan, not you don't have to do the planning now. So hopefully we do have time. Yes. Question one or question two?
Next.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're still on question one. And Greg, you're going to give me time for question two, right? Okay.
Well, I'm wondering, my name is Patty Drange-Martin, and I'm the coordinator of Veteran Services at Pasadena City College. And I'm wondering where veterans fit in this, because they are a population that's coming back. We're going to get over 40 to 60,000 returning vets in the next couple of years. And they are adult learners. They are disabled, not all of them, of course, but and they have very specific needs. And so I'm hoping that they fit somewhere in this new makeup of adult education, because not all of them want to come back to college. Some of them want to try and apply the skills they've learned in the military into the workforce. And we need to think about what kinds of programs we can design for them that will help them get back to work.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Carson, United Teachers Los Angeles. I also happen to be the co-chair of the CFT Adult Ed Commission, which represents community college non-credit and K-12 adult education. And I just want to piggyback on what my colleague said from CTA about the exclusion of teachers on the boards and the cabinet and all levels. You've excluded teachers and teacher organizations. I don't call this including teachers when you come out to get, 2-minute sound bites from us, and then you go back and meet together to make decisions. I would pose the question this way, or make the point this way. How about we trade places, right? Okay, so because you don't have teacher organizations on the board. This isn't representing teachers, okay? You need to have somebody from CFT and somebody from CTA on your boards and your work groups. And just so you know, both, as Ernest mentioned, CTA a motion is going through about this point, about the exclusion of teachers on the board in CFT, and UTLA have already passed those motions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question number two. Greg, you want to take question number two?
Thank you for your comments and questions. And certainly as we move through questions 2, 3, and 4, we intend to have a section of our program for any questions or comments that weren't specific to questions 2, 3, and 4. But with that, let's open up conversation around question 2 and your ideas around that question. So the second question is, what are some of the specific challenges with collaborating for the development of a regional consortia? You could start here.
This is Pauline Grove from ABC Unified School District, ABC Adult School again. I think the most challenging questions is we are not so clear about funding structure in the future, and we are not clear about the parameter that we are working towards, because right now, as we understand, the request for application will be available in early January. So at this time, based on the information that we just received from the AB 86 about those, how you are going to evaluate your program and how you are going to define the gaps, how you are going to seamlessly develop your consortium. However, the funding structure is not so clear. So a lot of time we do, like at ABC, I have over 100 teachers and staff I need to consider when we're looking into this future development. And also other adult schools, we also need to consider how we are able to use and maximize our current staff when we're moving forward to this direction. Every single adult schools do have their responsibilities for their own staff, how we are able to resolve this issue in order to look into above and beyond for the services for our community as well. So that's the challenge, and we want to see how the program can be combined or collaborate, or how we are able to work together with other adult schools in our region.
Thank you. Sir.
Dave Williams, Principal of Bowman Adult School in Riverside County. In our particular region, and everybody's going to be somewhat different, one of the most specific challenges is the physical size of the community college region in which my agency, along with the other adult agencies, reside. It runs from the north end of Riverside County through the central section of Riverside County to the San Diego-Riverside County line, right clear across the county. And all of the adult education agencies within that region are relatively small. They've never been very large. It's only been within the last 10 years that a population shift has brought new development, and many of the cities in that particular area have grown some as much as 300% over the last decade. But the adult agencies that do exist there are even smaller in most cases than they were 4 years ago before going into categorical flexibility. So the infrastructure in terms of delivery of adult education services is relatively small, especially in comparison to the size of the region and the population of adults and needs of the region. So trying to overcome that in terms of developing consortia. We have met with the community college. We've met with most of the districts in that region, but the physical size and limitation of existing services is going to be a major barrier.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm Donna Brashear. I'm Executive Director of the Division of Adult and Career Ed with LAUSD. And I'd like to say that one of the challenges, or the major challenge that we are facing, is the timeline for receiving funding as it relates to the governor's budget. That we're all flying blind out here trying to get things done or trying to figure out how we're going to do things. But if we don't get money into to plan sooner so that we can then make the plan that everybody's been discussing about how we're going to actually come together and plan programs, which at this point we can't do because we don't have the money for the planning grant. So I think that's one of our largest challenges because we can't move forward.
Thank you, Don. So
yes, my name is Alan Helfman. I'm consulting around the ABA 86 issues. As consortia are developing, we could use some intermediary guidance on what you guys think a consortium is before you actually send money. And the range is, from a handshake to a very sophisticated joint power authority, and we really don't know what it takes for you to believe that we have a consortium that would qualify for planning funding.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Butchko, and I'm an LAUSD adult ed instructor, so I'm going to be very basic. I live in Pasadena. I teach in LAUSD district, so will I be going to PCC to do adult education? And if so, am I represented by PCC, or am I represented by LAUSD? Or where am I? I think an honest projection would be some geographical boundary, as ABC indicated and Rio Hondo indicated, that says you have the choice of teaching in an area that you want to, but you need to be represented by that school district. So I'd like to know, who I report to and where does my paycheck come from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Caston Hicks, and I'm with Covina Valley Unified Tri-Community Adult Ed. And as you know, K-12 districts struggle with finances, and so adult ed looks like a solution. Our funding looks like a solution sometimes to the K-12 budget constraints. And we just want to make sure that the adult ed administration and the people currently running the adult ed have some voice in that district's part in the consortium. When we had the survey, we were cut out of that, and that was filled out by people who do not work in adult ed and really haven't asked for input from adult ed. So we would hope that there would be, from any school district participating or choosing to participate, some assurance that the adult ed program actually gets to have a voice in how that's set up.
Thank you. Could I ask you a brief question? Forgive me. When you first introduced yourself, could you restate your district name again?
Covina Valley Unified.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Ryan Whetstone. I'm the Director for Career Tech Ed, ROP, and Adult Education for Compton Unified School District. One of our concerns is that students from Compton may attend up to several community colleges where there are large numbers of students. So some may attend El Camino College Compton Center, El Camino College, Cerritos College, LA Southwest College. So that's a concern for us, that we're able to join multiple consortia because we have significant numbers of students that may go to any of these colleges. And if we look at the enrollments of those schools, we'll see numbers of students who are Compton residents, and that also Long Beach College. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Still on question 2. Yes.
Yes. What I'm hearing here, or I think what I'm hearing, is that there's an understanding that the community colleges are taking over adult education. That seems like what I'm hearing. So maybe there needs to be a clarification that I understand the way AB 86 reads, it's to be a partnership with both entities. So maybe that needs to be clarified somewhere. Possibly that's one of our challenges.
Thank you. Thank you. That's worth noting. And as we continue our conversation, let me just say that the understanding you just stated is correct. It is a partnership, as we went over here. And you know, we're hearing about all sorts of examples that have begun, and we'll continue to hear some. But it is indeed designed to be a partnership, both with school districts and community colleges. Thank you. Yes.
I'm Ginny Donato. I work for the California Teachers Association, and I just want to reemphasize a couple of things here. The teachers want nuts and bolts answers, and they have nuts and bolts questions. Who do they work for? Do they work for a consortium? Where does their check come from? Are they part of SERS? Are they part of a collective bargaining unit? Who decides if a program opens? Who decides if a program closes? I mean, it's just so unclear right now about what the consortium is. Does it stay on the adult ed campus of the school that they're at right now, or the school district they're at right now? Because the infrastructure is in place. Does it move? Who makes the decisions? And also, is there flexibility within a consortium, or are they cookie cutter? Do they all have to look alike?
Thank you. There's a number of good questions there, as well as others that have been shared, and I have a feeling that as part of our second session, where we can address open question and answer, we'll do our best to help address those questions. It looks like we've allowed for time for question 2, so we're going to move to question 3 and get your ideas and comments around question 3 at this time. Candace?
Okay, question 3. This is a non-competitive grant process. What are your suggestions on how these planning funds could be distributed? Come on, there has to be some questions. Ernest?
Yeah, I have a question with respect to this. The maintenance of effort requirement of AB 91 is designed to stabilize the situation, stop districts from continuing to shut down, stop K-12 districts from continuing to shut down their programs in the interim prior to July 1st, 2015. How is the Department of Ed and the Chancellor's Office going to deal with A, recognizing and rewarding those districts that have complied with maintenance of effort and have maintained their programs at their expense, as opposed to those districts like Redlands, which just last month shut down their program, which probably is going to be wanting to get in line. They're going to want some money too. On the one hand, we don't want to exclude Redlands and the other approximately 100 districts in the state that shut down their programs, but it seems that the intent of the governor and legislature through the maintenance of effort requirement is to A, reward those districts that have maintained their programs at expense, and also what are we going to do about moving to step 2 and step 3 if we reward the programs that have maintained their programs through maintenance of effort? How are we going to, once we stabilize and get them going, what are we going to do about the districts that have, for fiscal reasons, shut down their programs in the last 5 years? And then what are we going to do after that to move to the underserved geographic regions of California that were shut out of having funding for adult ed programs prior to 2009 because of the shifting demographics and the fact that funding for adult ed was predicated upon 1978 snapshot of the state's populations?
Thank you. We've been talking about that weekly, believe me. Hi.
Hello, I'm Paul Thomas. I'm with the Riverside County Office of Education, and we have about 5 adult jails serving about 2,500 inmates, that are directly served with education. We realize that we're kind of on the fringe of the population, but we're really grateful to be included in this consortia. And we are thinking that student need is probably one of the best ways to determine how the funds are distributed. We see our adult inmates affecting their children in K-12 by the thousands, and we need greater assessment tools to determine where they are and what they need, and there's just no money available for those kinds of activities.
Thank you.
Flint Fertig, the director of Monrovia Community Adult School. Ernest brought this up under question 1, but I think it fits under question 3, and that's we've really opened this up. At least the language currently seems to open it up to all kinds of comers, from community centers to libraries to it seems like anyone who wants to open something up in their garage may be able to join these consortiums. And I think that when you say what are our suggestions on how these planning grants can be distributed, I say continue to distribute them, just as a suggestion, with those people that have been and have expertise, are highly qualified, have the credentials and the infrastructure in place to continue to support adult education the way they have for years and years and years. Instead of, it seems like it's just opened it up and willy-nilly anybody who wants to come forward. I haven't really seen that with our own consortiums, but I think it's interesting. But I do think that that could be a huge problem in the future. And if you read the language, it looks like anybody can come to the table. And we've had some very strange phone calls just recently from all kinds of people who suddenly there's money, and of course this state has had none for a while. And if you think about it, there was 600-some million just for adult schools. Now there's 500-some million for it seems like all comers. So my suggestion would be make sure that these funds are centered on established, strong, hardworking, and already doing the job adult programs, both community college and adult schools.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jody Slider from Corona Norco Adult School. One of the items that has come up in our consortium of concern and question is matching data systems. If our consortiums are designed to encourage student outcomes, how are we going to be able to communicate our data systems together, making sure that we are able to assess students, place students appropriately, and then also know the outcomes that we're able to talk with systems and knowing that we can gather that data that we need to show the success that our programs are having.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hoffman?
Yes, I'd like the Mr. Yeah. In terms of some suggestions that we've been working around in terms of what drives the funding, I like buzzwords. Anyway, we're operating with numbers, needs, and assets, historical, actual, and projected. I think that in some way those combinations could develop some kind of an algorithm that could drive the decision and the size of the grant.
Oh, Kathy.
Good afternoon. Kathy Brenzel, Assistant Director of Montebello Adult School. I actually was hoping that this town hall meeting would provide some information and transparency as to what your group is doing. That's what I was hoping that would do. All the questions you're asking us, I was hoping that you would be able to answer too. In particular, the funding grants, what you're thinking, what are you thinking about how to distribute the funds? And maybe we can assist with that. What are your thoughts? Because it's been under discussion. I would really like to see more transparency from your group to the field.
Question?
I was going to say, I think that the model should be based upon the potential for the adult learners that can be served as a result of the consortia. And to me, the financial agent should be either the community college district or the unified school district. And that really should be a decision I believe should be based through the work of the consortium and their own internal communication as to what would best serve their community.
Thank you. Tell me your name again or where?
I'm Jim Kennedy from Santa Ana College.
Okay, thanks.
My name is Cliff Bell. I'm Superintendent of Montebello Unified School District and Director of Montebello Adult School. My real question is, in terms of how the funds come in, shouldn't they come in by the number of adults that you're currently serving? In other words, like you have one program that might have a few hundred, another program that might, like LA, have many, many students. I mean, how are they going to be divided up? And if you really look, the community college, who the rest of us have to work with, their actual numbers as compared to the adult school are very small. And so, and almost some of my colleagues have suggested that what's been suggested is that the tail wags the dog. And I don't think anybody wants that. We've been, like in Montebello and other areas, we've been collaborating with the community college for years. I mean, this is just a normal thing. But basically, most of the funds that we're talking about, maybe I'm getting a little off of three, but most of the funds we're talking about will basically come from the adult schools. I mean, they have the bulk of the thing. Now, in the planning grant, I think it should be set up proportionately. In other words, to make it work. It's not that difficult a process, really. And I think sometimes we don't watch out, we're going to end up with something that nobody wants. I think I have a saying in our offices. It's called KISS. You know, keep it simple, stupid. And I think that we should do that. And there's a lot of IQ in this room, and I'm sure we could come up with some pretty easily. I mean, it shouldn't take that long, and that's what I'm interested in. Thank you very much.
Well, we are trying to keep it simple, believe me. Sir.
There we go. My name is Dwayne Schaefer, and I'm a counselor at Long Beach City College, but I'm here representing Community College Association as a secretary with the president. And to piggyback on what was just said, we have had some discussion of how with dual enrollment, particularly between high school and community college, the issues of whether it's ADA or FTES is who gets the credit. And then also in some areas it's been allowed to have double counting of that same credit for ADA and FTES. So we're definitely in the ballpark of really how we're going to do this, what the law tells us we can do, and what we will do.
Thank you. Mr. Davey?
John Davey, Los Angeles Unified School District. It would seem going along the lines of keeping it simple, a formula that could readily be used by CDE for distributing the funds would be a combination of K through 12 student enrollment, which brings it down to the most local level data that we probably have and much more accurate than census data, tied to weighted with the number of English learners and NSLP participation.
I'm sorry, what was the last thing? You said English learners?
And National School Lunch Program participation,
okay.
Economically disadvantaged. that's historically been the best indicator of adult education needs in a local community.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris Guptill, Rio Hondo College. I just wanted to make sure that people bore in mind, going along the lines of what my colleague from Riverside said, is that our concern, or my concern anyway, is that some of the behemoths in this region are going to attract the lion's share of the funds, and even though they may have the lion's share of the students, they're also in a fairly compact geographic area, whereas smaller consortiums may cover a vastly greater geographic area with logistical issues that need to be compensated for. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration as well. It can't simply be on population.
Thank you. Cheeto.
Hello, my name is Cheeto Kahan. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Economic and Workforce Development for the Los Angeles Community College District. So my question would be, when it comes down to the districting and the lines of our district, a lot of people go to our district from outside of our district. So it's going to be very hard for us to sort of cut that line down just so we can have a better idea of who we're working with and collaborating with. You're saying that it's a non-competitive grant process. However, because of that cross-district occurrence, it makes us have to consider other entities and other partnerships. So it would be a lot more easy for us if there were clearer lines to divide where these planning grants will be and could be. And that way it would minimize our efforts in trying to form collaborations up and down, well, throughout our region.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll go to the fourth question. Carmen?
Okay, so this is a fun question, I think. So AB 86 provides an opportunity to re-envision, rethink, and reshape the service delivery model for adult education. How do you believe adult learners can be better served as a result of the development of the local consortia? And I think the reason I say it's such a fun question because I think that this is such a grand opportunity. I mean, there has been obviously a lot of change. There's a lot of uncertainty, and you know, this is just a great opportunity to really kind of start thinking outside of the box of what it can potentially be. Not to say that there isn't some great programs out there. Obviously, there is. This program is an example of such programs, and there has been great services being provided to adult learners. But I think nowadays, given all the challenges and given the uncertainty that still lies ahead, you know, there's a lot of potential to really critically think outside the box and see what sort of models could be out there to better serve our adult learners. So it was a great opportunity to do that, and we would love to hear from you. Hi.
In the rest of my life, I'm actually an ESL and linguistics instructor, so this is close to my heart. And one of the things that we first started, when we started talking about this in CTA, and we were together, community colleges and the adult education committee, we said this is a wonderful opportunity to, number one, see what's being offered across the state. Because when we ask the question, so what's out there, people don't really know. We actually tried to collect information ourselves in CCA to kind of get a rough idea, and there is no repository where you can find it. You have to sort of ask the Chancellor's Office and ask the Department of Education, and then go out and ask individual districts and check and see whether the information you got is accurate. Or you could just go to each district and ask the question, and sometimes people don't know even what's going on in their own district. If it's adult ed and it's a USD, they may not know what the adult ed program is doing. And same with community colleges. You know, we have Rancho Santiago. We actually represent the non-credit faculty that does the adult education. And so, you know, we know they exist, but we don't know what's out there in other areas close to the community colleges that we represent. So I think finding out what the programs do now is a great opportunity. And then, in connection with that, reducing duplication. It is inefficient to have two identical programs, one provided at a community college and one provided at a high school district in similar geographical areas, unless you can show that there is a need. But it's always better to collaborate, isn't it? If we're doing the same thing, shouldn't we know what each other is doing? And we as faculty, we want that. So those are the two things that I think are really advantageous about this, and we saw it from the very beginning. So we would like to make sure that that happens as a result of this legislation.
Great, thank you. Wasn't sure who was first. So.
My name is Paul Butchko. As I mentioned earlier, I'm an instructor at ESL, LAUSD. I'm also at CTA as funding for public education. So to me, this funding program is very important. But I have to tell you, I'm also a person who doesn't really want to recreate the wheel. Tires are good on cars. II labs are excellent. 80% passing is required in order for the student to work through his contract at his speed and his level. I believe, and some may disagree with me, that LAUSD has run this model and is reinvented, reformatted, relooked at it, and I believe it does work. There are also other programs that do work. I think of a possible group of individuals from your area could go to LAUSD or PCC or Rio Hondo and see what does work. I don't recommend a WASP type project, but I think there are things out there that are gems that should not be recreated, and for efficiency purposes, yes. Do I need a non-credit at PCC versus a credit at manual arts? I don't know. But there are programs that work very well with very high success rates.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon again. This is Pauline Grove from ABC Unified School District, ABC Adult School. Like adult education has been working hard to articulate with community college. So I'm thinking with this new development and new direction will help us to streamline the services to our population. And adult education can become an individual separate education system in the state of California and can receive a very clear funding resources from the state and from the governor. So we are hoping this going to be a new direction for the adult education in the state of California, and also can streamline the services to the population with a unique needs.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Mary Katz again. I just want to comment on the duplication issue of services. And I know that in our community college there is a duplication of services, but those services are duplicated because the need is there for that purpose. And I think if our intent is to non-duplicate, I think our communities are going to be in real trouble because we have those needs for those students. We don't serve the same students. We serve completely different students. And I'm hoping that the plan is not to look through the state and end completely duplication, because I think that's going to be a detriment to adult ed. And I think adult ed already is a funded program, or had been. And I agree that I don't see any sense in recreating the wheel when we have a functioning system that provides the needs for the communities. So I think we need to be real careful in how we go about structuring our programs.
Okay.
Hi, Laura Chartier. I'm on the school board for Culver City Unified School District, and I'm also an employee for LAUSD Adult Division. So I just wanted to say that one opportunity that we have here is the ability to really counsel our students who come in at the ESL level and take them all the way through to not only an education path but a career path. And instead of just saying, okay, you're finished with your ESL, now go to a community college, or oh, now go get a job, we actually can provide the wraparound counseling services for those students to be really successful.
Great, thank you.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Castro. I'm the Executive Director of the Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Investment Board. And I'd like to, just as you're revisioning or rethinking, reshaping the services for adult education, we work with job seekers who are looking to reskill their skills, and we invest in their education. We've developed some great partnerships with our adult ed programs and our community colleges and our K-12 programs, and I hope you'll consider to bring workforce boards to the table as viable partners who can help leverage and braid and bring resources to help you build a strong and viable consortium for your region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Phil Davis. I'm the Director of Support Programs and I work with the adult school in Downey. Her WIB is one of the, we're working with her WIB, by the way. I have not been in adult school my entire career, actually not for all that long. I've worked mainly with RLP CTE. And my vision would be that some of the things we've been able to do with CTE and the community colleges are the articulated programs. An articulated program means that in the senior year, a student takes classes that they get concurrent credit. I would love to see us do something along those lines. This is a little crazy and outside the box, and that's what you asked for. I would love to see us drawing our students from our programs into the community college as a magnet. Our programs at the end of our classes, say for instance LVN would draw students directly into the RN program as one example. Our automotive program would draw students into the automotive engineering program at the community college. We would be that kickstart for people. All of a sudden would be, I can do this because I'm already getting credit at community college. I think that some really, really good things, along with all the other ideas everybody has, that might be a really something that we haven't thought about out of the box. And we're looking at how we can do that with Cerritos Community College already and hoping that we're able to do more of that. So I'm thinking this might help.
Hi, I'm Chris Clark. I'm actually with the Tierra del Sol Foundation. What we do is we help people with disability go to college and get jobs. We work with the LAUSD and we also work with the Los Angeles County Community College District. And what we do is we take individuals with disabilities such as autism and Asperger's and other types of disabilities from adult education into the local community colleges. We've been around for 43 years. We currently have 650 people in our greater program, but the college program itself, we have about 140 people, and they have a collective GPA right now of 3.26. So I'd like to see how this is going to serve people with disabilities.
Dwayne Schaefer, Long Beach City College counselor, I'm speaking as now. Having served as a counselor for several years, one of the things that really greatly concerned me is that there are a series of career assessments that students don't get involved in. And one of the things that I use always as an analogy is just because you build it, and just because it's nice and shiny and it's beautiful, and at the end of the day you can get a large check for the work you do, I may not still want to come. So we're really, I hope in developing this that we look at the passion of our students. What is their goal? What is their understanding of these great programs, CTE programs that exist around the state, but is that what I wish to do? And sometimes we forget that because we think that we know best, so come on down and do what we have on the board for you. But we really, I see this all the time with our students. And many of our students, in Long Beach Unified, they have what is called a small learning community. And students identify which one they wish to go into. And sometimes it's their friends that drag them in, and sometimes their parents saying, you will do that, or whatever. But then when they get out of that and they have opportunity for choice, they choose not to continue in that same vein. So even though they can be partnerships and the articulation agreements are great so the students can earn some credit while they're in high school, if they're in a program that they're passionate about and wish to continue, excellent. But for those who are not, we need to figure out how to do that, and I believe career assessments is a way to go. There are several of them out there. I'm not going to tell you which one to get, but I think we need to look at that.
Hi, Cheeto again from LACTD. With regards to number 4, I think when it comes down to offering better service, we have to think about what's going on today. Technology, relevancy when it comes down to business and industry trends. Why can't the consortia have business and industry representation? Why can't we look beyond the box when it comes down to technology? Look beyond the package that the box comes in, so to speak. And I think it was said before from my sister college representative that this is an equal partnership. We know that there has to be an equal partnership. There's a reason why you have different burger stands and burger places at a major street corner, because the need is bigger, and there is plenty to go around to meet that need, and as there should be. However, there should be relevancy. There should be up-to-dateness, and making sure that what we offer as a service is what is being expected of us, both by the customer, which includes employers.
Hello, my name is Sally Dibini from Antelope Valley Adult School, Antelope Valley Union High School District. 3 things I would like to comment on. The very first one is duplication. I want to back what Mary said over there, that we should give people choices. They're completely different population. We serve different needs. Some of our students feel intimidated by going to the community college. So that's one thing I want to stress, the fact that duplication is okay. We have to give people choices of where to go. The other thing is, since most people go to school for employment, is there going to be anything in the planning funding that would somehow fund ways to find employment? Hiring a transition specialist, hiring a career counselor, something to that effect that will help people find jobs. They don't have to complete the community college, any kind of program. They could be in ESL, but they still need to find a job. And the third thing is we have to find some kind of database that we can identify students by a certain number throughout the whole system, from adult schools to community colleges to workforce center, so we know where that student is going. And maybe we can monitor if they're actually transitioning between the different systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
James Patterson from Imperial County Community College District. I believe adult learners can be better served as a result of this process because of an epiphany I've just had. As I drove up to this area to attend this town hall meeting, I kept thinking to myself, how is this going to work? Because at the end of the process, you may have 50 different plans in the state of California. But as I've listened to comments that have been made today, I'm coming to understand that some areas have excellent programs and some areas do not. Those excellent programs will be putting together plans based upon what has made them excellent. And the consortia who don't have excellence at this point are going to have to think outside of the box because that's where they live right now. And so what you're going to have in 2 years is a collection of what has worked and what potentially could work. You're going to have a collection of some really wonderful ideas, and I think that will be a benefit to the adult learners in California.
Thank you.
So, Martha Garcia, Imperial Valley College Program Coordinator. And for us, honestly, this is an amazing opportunity. I commend all of you, this amazing facility and the programs that you have available. However, in Imperial County, there are outlying communities that have no adult education services provided. And we have, because we are a rural community, we do work well together with everybody that could provide any assistance, obviously. So we have, our president has contacted all the school districts, and obviously those that do want to be involved will be involved. They're the ones that have provided whatever limited services are provided. They've been providing them, so obviously they know better than we do. but as a community college, we want to help them. And honestly, we need their guidance, but we want to make sure that whatever we decide that we do, that it's quality education and it's available for everybody in that community, because at this point it is not. Thank you.
Sorry,
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Salomon Davila. I'm the Dean of Career and Technical Education over in Pasadena City College. I also wanted to be able to provide maybe some input and guidance that not only is there the consortium members that we have present in this room, but also the partnerships that the consortium brings in with this larger piece. In other words, I've been very successful for adult learners to work with other nonprofit agencies like Goodwill, for example, because also it's the placement of these individuals in the right jobs that actually needs industry input and guidance to make sure that we're training them for these, the end goal, which is jobs, right? And placement and being able to help folks to actually, have a healthy income, right? A family wage is very important for what we need to do and what training we need to involve. And so we have a lot of partnerships in community colleges like this already. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Arthur. I'm from Oxnard Adult School, and I'm pleased to announce that I'm a teacher because I know there aren't a lot of teachers here. And I'm not really speaking to number 4, but I have a question or concern that I didn't get in for number 2, so I'd like to ask it now, and that is that adult school students are protected, undocumented immigrants are protected from inquiries into their immigration status. It's the same court ruling that protects students in the K-12 system. This doesn't exist in the community college, and there's wording in AB 86 that says classes and courses for immigrants eligible for education services. So if you could respond to that and let me know who is ineligible, because when I read eligible, I wonder what that means.
Okay, and we'll definitely speak to that as well. So after we end this session, which I believe, if we don't have anybody else ready, we can definitely start. Unless, do any of you have anything to add before we move on? No? Okay, should we? So we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions, and maybe we can start off with your question. Did you want to go ahead? Right, from an FAQ.
So I'm going to begin. There are 2 things that I want to make, that I want to say before we begin this section. First is some misinformation. This is really a program about linkages. It's about building upon the strengths and the best pieces from both systems. It is not a takeover by one system or another. It is using the best of both systems and creating linkages. And this is language. The Department of Finance visits us, and the legislative analyst visits us, and that's what they say. It's about establishing those linkages between the systems. It's the best thing that we can be doing for our students. And the other thing I want to say is that this is a plan to plan. We don't have to have the answers now. It's going to take some time to get the answers. And then to answer about your questions, we're going to go into questions and comments, and we'll be recording all of this. We will answer what we can answer and what we know. We have many questions as well, and we will simply say that we don't have the answers. But your specific question about eligible immigrants came to us earlier. We asked our legal department about it. We also put up some information on the website, and I just am going to read the answer. So the question was, what immigrants are eligible, and conversely, which are ineligible for citizenship and ESL and the workforce preparation classes? The answer is all immigrants who reside in California are eligible for all classes. So at this point, we do not have ineligible people who are ineligible for these classes. Now, somebody had once also on one of the webinars talked a little bit about, well, what about ineligibility if they are too old or can't pay the fee or whatever, those kinds of local decisions are made. But as far as AB 86, all immigrants are eligible for classes. So, okay. So questions and answers, and we will answer what we can with the panel and with the other folks who are here. And again, you can just line up by microphone and we'll start. Santiago.
Hi, Deborah. Santiago Jackson, consultant with Montebello School District and doing some other work with consortium. I'm going to tie my comments to what I view as an urgent issue, and it relates very directly to what's taking place within the whole planning and implementation grants. The target date that I see is January 10th, 2015. Now, why that particular date? On that particular date, the governor introduces a state budget. Adult education funding needs to be identified in that state budget. Why? Because as of 2015-16, there's no identified adult education funding for the K-12 districts. I got to clarify for the K-12 districts. Community colleges and their provisions relative to non-credit continue as is. That has not changed. Nothing up to now has changed any of that. But what's in play is that as of that one particular date, your K-12 adult education funding is non-existent. So I'm suggesting that that urgency be applied to the whole planning that's taking place right now. Earlier today, in looking at the pieces that were presented, there was a statement about you have a 2-year planning process. You do not have a 2-year planning process. For that to get into the governor's budget in January 2015, you're looking at that information all needs to be concluded by a year from now for it to get into the budget. So I just want to make that as a point and grab the mic from the standpoint of fellow adult educators that are in K-12. You need to start having some discussions and get some consensus on what type of funding you want for in 2015-16. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
I won't be shy. I have some very specific suggestions.
Good.
The first, I'm going to go back to my first theme. We have seen this before. We, for the record, are very supportive of the direction that things are going in UTLA. We have been, since January, working with our partners in the community college, the Workforce Investment Board, the Chamber of Commerce, the Mayor's Office, the local trade unions. We've met and talked with all of them. The only people who have not met and talked with us are the administrators of the Los Angeles Unified School District. That's the people missing in action. And I suspect that that's not a unique situation in Los Angeles. I suspect that throughout the state, administrators and school districts are planning this, moving it forward, talking to everybody except the people who actually go into classrooms and teach students. I think that needs to come to an end. Beyond that, I would like to see at the state level, let's address this in 3 stages. The governor came forward to stabilize a system that was in collapse, and I think he's come up with a pretty good plan for doing so. The first thing we need to do, we need to stabilize the extant programs. The governor provided that through the maintenance of effort. We need to support that. That's the first thing we need to do, is stabilize those programs and help them move into a collaborative relationship with the community college districts. The second thing, separate from that, because our funding is quite inadequate to the need, it's quite inadequate to where we were a few years ago. The second thing we need to do is figure out what are we going to do about those communities throughout the state that have canceled their programs because of fiscal constraints. And that needs to be dealt with separately from the districts that have maintained their programs. And then once we've gone and found a way to restore those districts that did have adult ed programs and don't have them now. The third step we need to look at again is what are we going to do about the underserved areas of the state, especially in central eastern California, where there has been a dramatic demographic shift over the last 3 or 4 decades that had no funding whatsoever, had no programs whatsoever, are in large rural geographic regions where they do not have access to community college programs. As a third step, we need to come up with a plan as to how we're going to address that.
Thank you. So in this lull, how many of you have listened to our webinars, our weekly webinar series? Every Friday at noon, we are scheduled to do webinars where we will be updating you. Most of that time, the last 40 minutes about of that webinar is spent just answering questions. So join the webinar as well. This is your chance, folks. We really want to and need to hear from you. Questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, issues that you're dealing with, issues that you want us to deal with, issues that you don't want us to deal with.
Hello, my name is Karen Bautista, principal of San Bernardino Adult School. And as one of our speakers mentioned before, we have what I might call pockets of greatness. We all have those prized programs that excel and produce incredible outcomes. And I'd like to say the main reason behind that is because of the instructor for the program. And our instructors are very, very concerned, because if we are to offer a program at community college, or move the program to community college, or vice versa, move a program from community college to adult school, those instructors are not qualified equally to teach in both programs. Adult education teachers may have a credential but may not have a master's degree that's needed at the community college, and community college instructors may not have a teaching credential, which precludes us from hiring them. So I am curious if this is an issue to which you're looking at maybe some type of reciprocity for instructors with both programs. It kind of goes back to the question of, so who's my employer and who do I get my check from? Wondering if we will have that type of flexibility to keep the best instructors with the strongest programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Russell Castaneda Calleros from Rio Hondo College. And I have a question, and it has to do with budget and seed money. When our group had our first meeting about a week and a half ago, one of the issues that came up was, wow, if we have to go in the direction of a GPA, which would be more formalized than a handshake agreement, and if we need to be a consortium that's formalized in that GPA format, that's going to cost some legal counsel dollars. That's going to require a budget. And as we prepare for our second meeting with our prospective consortium partners, we need to be able to receive some parameters in terms of what a sample budget would look like for a well-functioning consortia, so that we can start talking about the difficult question of how much seed money should each partner plan on bringing to the table just to get ready for this January RFA, because there's work before the work that takes resources. And we're all busy people as it is, and we need to figure out how to get that work before the work done, so that we're in the best position possible. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And other people have written to the website and said, these are the costs that I'm going to incur in planning. One may be legal fees, one may be travel. So those kinds of suggestions are real important to us. Actually, I'm over here and then back. Yeah.
Laura Chartier, Culver City Unified School District. My question is, can agencies belong to multiple consortia? So for example, LACCD and CCUSD could make a beautiful little consortia where there's no duplication of effort, and we would be very happy together. But LACCD is probably going to connect up with LAUSD. Does CCUSD need to then become part of that little city-state consortia? Or can we remain a little boutique consortium? That's my question.
So, you want me to take it? You want to take it? I'll take it. we don't have the answers to that question. That's the complexities of this area. Like I said on one of the webinars, or Carmen said, we received about 380 responses to the survey of interest. So we know there is a lot of interest in folks being part of a consortia. We need you to sit down and write on our AB 86 website and say, we want to join more than one consortia, or it's going to be too confusing if we join more than one consortia. We need not just the question, but we need the answer that fits for you, because we realize that every consortia is going to be different, and we know that our students travel. So that's the kind of information that we want from you. We don't have that answer, but we are recognizing the complexity. There you go.
I wanted to, Lynette Yaga, Community College Association, CTA. I wanted to mention about the JPA. We had a long discussion in CTA about the idea of JPAs, and there's a huge problem with the JPA. So I'm hoping, when we didn't envision these as JPAs at all, because with JPAs now you have your employment, who is your employer issue. And so our policy actually specifically says that for these consortia, you remain with the same employer as you originally were. Because if you try to do anything like a JPA, the employment situation is so complex that it would not actually work. By not doing a JPA, you avoid these issues of qualifications. It's interesting that I hear people saying, well, people would be plucked out of a K-12 adult ed program and put into a community college. You know, it's funny, that's not my concept. I was thinking a consortium is everybody stays the same and gets together and plans and figures out which parts of the program go well here and which go well here. And that's why when we say duplication of effort, or duplication of programs, it doesn't mean that if a program is working for a USD, for an adult education in a unified school district, that you wouldn't have the same class offered in a community college, but for a different audience. That's not duplication. If your audience is different, then it's not duplication. So you can have independent entities offering classes as long as people get together and plan the program so that it's coherent. It seems to me, anyway. That was the way we envisioned it, and a group of us in our two committees, the Community College Committee and the Adult and Alternative Ed Committee. So I wanted to pass that on to the group. Please, no GPAs. JPAs.
Thank you. Veronica Montes, Culver City Adult School. So one of the things that I'm concerned about is that the future of K-12 adult ed funding really hinges on figuring out what the hell a consortia is, how it works, when we're going to get a planning grant, when all that. Santiago talked about January 2015. The whole idea is if we cannot get that figured, if you guys can't tell, not you guys, but if that can't get figured out, how do we even possibly move forward? Community colleges are not going to go anywhere. But K-12 adult ed hinges right now on that being figured out, because the legislature said AB 86 and this is what's going to happen. So sooner rather than later with all the answers so that we can continue to serve the populations we serve. We're happy to do it, play nice in the sand and do all that. But for us in K-12 adult ed, we need fast.
Wayne DiIulio, Director, Torrance Adult School. And my question goes right along those lines. Is a timeline, right? What Mr. Jackson was saying as well. What I would like to see your committee come up with is a timeline that you share out at the next webinar. And you tell us when we need to have our consortium plan ready, because it's going to have to be vetted. By my timeline, we have to be done by next year, by summer, because it's going to have to go to the CDE. The CDE is going to look at all of the plans, and then they're probably going to come up with guidelines from all of those plans. The bottom line is, as this person and Mr. Jackson also talked about, if the governor is not talking about us, we're finished, because we have to be in his budget in January. So the bottom line is, when does the governor need that information? October? November? That makes our job, we have to be done by this summer. And it's got to be turned into the CDE to be vetted. So our timeline, it is not even close to 2 years. We're under 1 year right now. And my superintendent is already asking me, Wayne, you need to find out where this is going, because the board is going to ask you to make a recommendation as to what happens to all of our adult ed staffing. And I'm not unique. Everybody in this room is going to have to make a recommendation to their board. There's a number of board members in this meeting. They can't fund nothing, and they will have to lay off all of adult ed. And so we need action from this committee to give us specific dates and deadlines for us to turn it in. If we don't turn it in, that's on us. But we need more direction from you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Pauline from ABC Adult School again. Just like everyone in this room was very concerning about funding and the clear direction that we would like to learn. Besides funding structure, I also would like to discuss a little bit about credentialing, because adult education and community college or other community agencies, we do hire different instructors with different credentials, different needs. So we would like to see how this one is going to play out, because those really tie into our funding structure in the future as well. So the better, the sooner we are able to get those direction from the work group, AB86, a work group, that will be really help us to plan quickly to meet the deadline. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen.
Yeah, speaking as a non-attorney, but just about the concept of joint power authorities, just to be aware that joint powers are really an agreement by two or more agencies to come together to leverage resources. There is nothing in their definition that says that they are employers, that management services shift to them. Just to understand, in California there are about 1,800 joint power authorities. Some of them involve leveraging just for insurance purposes or risk management purposes. So I don't want to just say JPA is good or bad, but it's a partnership concept. It could go as defined by the partners themselves, as opposed to that there's a very specific definition. Most of us understand JPAs, I guess, in terms of the ROP versions that we're familiar with, in terms of when many districts feed into a technical center and they have their governing boards. But there are many other versions, and that would really be up to the agency partners to develop their governing structure and decide what they're going to leverage.
Good afternoon, please.
Thank you. Paul Butchko, LAUSD, and if you really want out of the box, look at several other states like Tennessee and North Dakota, where adult education is a standalone entity unto itself. That doesn't help the situation, but they're successful. It might happen here. It would be an autonomous, institution. You go from high school to adult education for career technology, for ESL, and then you go to a community college or a university, and you're not creating this joint powership. Again, other states have done it. They're successful. It's an idea. It's out of the box.
Thank you.
Hi.
Please, hi.
Lauren McSherry, San Bernardino Valley College. It seems, listening to everyone here, that there's also a huge breakdown difference between what's going on, let's say, in western LA County versus what's going on in the Inland Empire. We have huge geographic differences, and it seems like there needs to be more coordination and collaboration and planning done at the regional level. So, you know, I'm thinking of our community college district. We have 2 community colleges. We have at least probably 4 school districts with adult schools in our area. We reach up to the San Bernardino Mountains, down to Riverside County border, Lake, and that's just us, and there's about 11 colleges within Region 9 for CTE programs. It just seems like some of these issues, like, I think it's a lot different in LA County, for example, where you may have school districts sending students to nearby community colleges versus what's going on, let's say, in our region. And because this meeting was held out here, this isn't really a setting where people, our stakeholders, can meet and interact or even really share our feedback. And the other thing is, when I put together a list this morning of partners that are suggested through the webinars that we include in our planning process, it's like 18 entities just for our area. That's a huge amount of coordination for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Bautista with San Bernardino City Adult School. We would also like some direction on the programs not mentioned in AB 86, like parent education, older adults, and I think there was one more. Yeah, the home economic piece. We have courses at the adult school in San Bernardino that have been there for 90 years, and it's very difficult explaining to the staff that they're not part of the consortium, or at least to this point they're not listed as part of the consortium. And I'm sure that at local community colleges and also CBOs, they do address these program areas. Thank you.
Thank you. There may be other comments and questions, and I invite them. While there's a brief break between questions, I want to take just a moment. Throughout this afternoon, we've heard countless examples from you about collaborations and partnerships that exist or that are forming between our school districts and community colleges. And we've got another partnership in illustration this afternoon. I want to acknowledge staff from the Hacienda La Puente Adult School, as well as staff from Palomar College, who are making the technology seem seamless, both in the PowerPoints, but also so this conversation could be extended using technology and captured and recorded to play back to a wider audience. And so would you stand up for a second? We have Phil from Palomar College. Phil? And Tom was here, and just any of the team, please, from Hacienda La Puente, if you could wave your hand and we thank you for the college. Thank you. Thank you very much. Additional comments or questions? Yes.
Just one last quick one. At our regional consortium, we had a discussion about the stakeholder representation, and there was a question about there are groups that are listed on the AB 86 website, and the question was, how do we become part of those groups, the stakeholder groups, and make sure that there's representation from our area?
And let me speak to that briefly if I could. So you're correct, they're listed on the website, and I would encourage you to, and colleagues, to go directly to that website, and you're invited, or partners in the region are invited to volunteer directly, and your name would be included in the list of stakeholders there. Thank you. Okay.
I guess my questions are there any more questions? And if there aren't, I think the meeting, the town hall, Donna?
And so for those people who offered questions today but didn't hear their answers, where should they go to get their answers?
ab86.cccco.org. And the website is always open, and you can address your questions there. Anything else, Donna, you can think of?
We are posting the answers as quickly as we possibly can on the website. And we've been turning them around within days. A vetted answer that goes from the work group to the cabinet and then onto the website. We've tried to be really, really careful to not talk from the cuff and say something that can really be misinterpreted and go viral. We're trying to be very methodical and careful so that what's posted is really the answer.
Thank you. Andrea, do you have anything to add? Okay.
I guess I could learn how to use that microphone. I apologize. I did want to briefly acknowledge there's dozens of really good questions. We talked about how those answers can be provided. And there's many answers we wish that as of noon today were already posted on the website. And to touch on one of many important questions, certainly we want to assure you we're very sensitive to the timeline, the matter of timeline. It's very clear to us for the reasons that many stated. And so that question, as well as others, were locked in. I wish we had that finalized and posted as of today at noon. We don't. But be assured that we're very, very aware from both and multiple perspectives about how important that timeline is as this becoming a process in the legislative conversation, the timing of the governor's budget, et cetera. So we absolutely thank you for expressing that very clearly, and I assure you we understand that very clearly. And again, thanks for being here today and for checking back on the website.
I also want to thank Cindy Perlin-Kofer and Matt Smith for hosting this event and their generosity for the setup and all the details, and I'd like to give them a hand.